When we look at the technology changes that are constantly kind of occurring across the board, which ones are you most excited about for what they open up for the smart home in the years to come?
It's so funny. I think about what is not the case, and then I think about what's the case. So, 12 years ago at Chamberlain, we had to stand up almost like a soup can and two soup cans in a string, like how to build an IoT platform. And I'll tell you, doing that at Masonite, there are so many packaged platforms, capabilities, technologies, partners. What Rob has with Unomi is a great example of that. There are a lot of different organizations now available to be able to build out technology platforms, and I think the cost of the core technologies on the hardware side have come way down. The tool sets to communicate are easier. I would say that the part of the equation that's getting still getting refined, but is getting better is the designer, the industrial designer, UX designer, UI designer, that class of person coming out of college, I think is probably an area that is really interesting now, because user journeys are really different, right? It's different to think about a use case and a user journey for a door. You open it and you close it. But when you start to think about delivery and pets and guests and homeowners, the user journey mapping for that is super different. And there's human factors, and there's multiple actors, and there's a whole bunch of use case scenarios, and there's a whole bunch of fail cases. So, as a door company, we have to then think about, what does design look like when we think about designing for how people live in their homes related to security and guests. And there's a whole bunch of other partners that we need to work with, and how do we enable those experiences? So the underlying technology piece, I think, is starting to get to the cost and complexity level that we can start to enable a lot more than we could have 10 years ago. It's not easy, but I would say, the ramping up phase at Masonite has been much faster and much cheaper than what I would have said 10 years ago at Chamberlain.
Yeah, so I would add a couple of things here. So I think, and we'll see how this develops over time, but edge compute, I like the edge compute piece versus everything going to the cloud to make key decisions, if for no other reason than just some of the propagation delay that takes place. But I think edge compute has an opportunity to change the way these products all work and talk together. 5G is a popular answer. I'm not sure I really understand if 5G will change a lot in the home as it is. If it someday becomes a competitor to broadband, maybe, but that's probably well down the road yet. Standards, right? So that, what I make, what Rob makes, what Cory makes, what other people make actually can work together without the consumer having to understand cloud to cloud integrations or other unusual technology terms that most consumers don't know nor care to know about. And then I would think the last thing, which I think is where you really unlock true value, is alternate monitoring. So right, in my security world, the value of security is I can monitor the alarm system, right? And people will pay to a security dealer, my customer base, a recurring revenue to do that monitoring. I believe the entire home should be monitored. I believe that the water heater, I know I'm repeating myself, the furnace, the locks, the lighting, the outlets, the wires, all can be monitored with technologies that exist today. And then that data that gets collected can be sent out to a monitoring center, whether that's a security dealer, maybe it's an HVAC contractor, maybe it's somebody else. I don't know yet, but I think that's where you unlock the real value. If I can predict the failure of your air conditioning unit, I can save you thousands and thousands of dollars. You might have to pay a few $100s for a service call, but a replacement of air conditioning can be quite expensive. If I can keep a leak from becoming a major loss, where it's an insurance claim, I think it's a significant savings. So, and by the way, it pulls in other constituents. So now that's important to the insurance company. It's important to the contractor. It's important to the homeowner. So I think if there was a way to somehow standardize how that data gets collected and presented at some kind of monitoring center, it can really begin to unlock the smarts in the home.